right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Introspective Thoughts. And as you can see, I have another guest here, the second official guest on this here lovely platform in this podcast. We have one of my great friends, one of my good homies, an up-and-coming hip-hop artist, also known as blaxhippie. Give it up for my homie blaxhippie.
What's up?
What's good, man? What's good?
What's up, bro? Glad to be here, boy.
I'm glad that you are here, fam. As many conversations as we have had over the what? How long have we known each other? Like 4-5 years at this point.
Yeah.
Like we done had some real, real deal, trill, deep ass conversations, some shit that
That's like what? 2016, 2017. So
yeah, like
3-4 years.
We were sitting around the table with some Trisha. And it was damn, and ever since then it's like we should have been got put some stuff.
Exactly. And it's crazy because like we met through my wife, you know what I'm saying? Like that usually don't happen like that, you know what I'm saying? We met through my wife, but yeah, that was love though. I remember that was like a good time. Us three just kicking in, talking. We talked for what? How long we talked? For like 3-4 hours?
For what? I don't think I remember that it was time of the year where it got dark early. So I know I was over there for at least like 3.5 hours, like at the bare minimum. And I mean, he hit like
just talking about life, you know.
Everything. That's what I'm saying, like everything. You know how people say, you know, the best friendships are made over certain, you know, things and objects and things like that. Which I don't get. Best friendships are made over weed. I'm sorry, my folk know.
Exactly. You know, I'm pro with.
I smoke coke and some marijuana. I mean, gotta make it through life some kind of way. But literally, after that 3-hour conversation, man, like we literally talked about, I mean, everything under the sun. And like I said, this is some shit that we should have been did a long time ago and got you on wax and sit here and had a conversation, fam. But I'm grateful that you here nonetheless. But we're not here to talk about, you know, we're not here to talk about me. We're not here to talk about, you know, I mean, we could talk about life, but we're here to talk about you. So first and foremost, before we really get into all of this, you know, good stuff and this good conversation, introduce yourself to the people. Tell the people who you are, what you do, and all that good jazz.
What's good? I go by blaxhippie, BLAXHIPPIE.
Let's make sure y'all know that.
Black.
You can spell it, but make sure y'all know that.
Little different, but yeah, it's blaxhippie is how you pronounce it. But I'm a hip hop artist, but really it's bigger than the music. I'm an entrepreneur, really. I got a lot of things that I'm looking to do down the road, but right now, starting off, I just want to do focus on the music side. So that's really where I'm starting right now, on the music side.
That's dope. I like that. That's dope. And so when you say you an entrepreneur, so you start on the music side, what are you like wanting to head into besides the music? Because I've seen, you know, some of the stuff that you've already created. I've seen the visuals, I've seen the website, I've seen the merch, which y'all, I'm gonna put the link down there so y'all can go get it, because y'all do need to go get it. We support black business around here. Don't play with me. Get your shit, get your coins together. But beyond that, like I've seen all this stuff, and I'm still trying to figure out like how the hell did this man create this stuff, and where can I get some notes from? But like, where do you want to go into? Because I know, you know, as creators, we know that we're not just a one-track mind type thing. I mean, Rihanna is the best example of that, where she got music, she got panties, she got furniture, she got makeup, she got all this other different stuff. But like, what is it that you were trying to do?
For me, right now, music, I definitely want to go into films as well. Definitely get into real estate. That's kind of really like where my main focus is right now. You know, I have a sports background as well, so I'm definitely going to venture off into something with sports as well as I like get a little older. That's plans down the road, but that's kind of like where my main focus is right now. It's more entertainment side and real estate.
I fucked with that big time. It's dope that, you know, you can see how multifaceted we are as a people, because as we've discussed before, probably on numerous occasions, and that I know I've definitely talked about on numerous occasions on multiple platforms, is that how this idea of black people are not a monolith. You know, we're not just this one boxed in type idea. And it's dope to hear, you know, people taking their passions, taking their interests and putting it together. And it's interesting enough that you brought that up, because I was listening to a podcast today and they were talking about like, what is your purpose, you know, and like, what do you think that you're here to do, or what is it that you think that you are here to contribute? And it was somewhere, I think it's called ikigai, something like that. It's some Japanese word, but it's like where you take your purpose and what the world needs and what you're passionate about and something like that, and all of those things come together, and that's the thing that you are here to do. And it's dope that you are able to name those different things, because it shows, one, that we aren't a monolith, for one, but for two, it shows that, you know, it shows the creativity that goes on in your head, because everything that you name, there's a bit of creativity in there, but none of those things, I ain't gonna say none of those things align, but a lot of those things don't even align with each other, because real estate and sports, like, how do those two things align? Or like music and real estate, how do those two things align? But it's dope to see that, and I definitely enjoyed it. I love that. So yeah, yeah, we finna have a great conversation, y'all. I'm just,
oh yeah, oh
okay.
yeah, oh yeah.
So I want to first start off with this, start this conversation off about, you know, your journey into music. First and foremost, how did you get into wanting to do music? What did that process look like?
Well, for me, I've always wanted to do music my entire life. Like growing up, I grew up heavy in church, like every Sunday, every Wednesday. My mom was the choir director, the minister of music.
Mm-hmm.
So like throughout the week, my mom's listening to gospel songs, like practicing them, learning them all day, every day while she's driving me to school, football, basketball practice. Like she's learning these songs every day. I'm hearing this, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so like music has always been a part of my life, and like I've always wanted to like do music. Like I'd be in the children's choir, and like they have like rap parts. I was like shy when I was a kid though, but I always wanted to like, man, I want to do the rap part. You know what I'm saying? But I would never really speak up, because I was like the youngest of all the kids, and like I would be kind of like real shy. But I always knew like deep down, like I was destined like for that. Like I truly believe that in my heart. Like, and so like when I was like 16, my brother, like, is on the T-Paint out. And I know it's somebody who gonna watch this, they gonna remember this out. This out was probably around like 2010, 2009, 2011. It was an auto-tune T-Paint out, right? My brother, he was home from college. I was like a junior in high school. It was during the summer, going into like, maybe it was going into my senior year, or going into my junior year in high school. And we made a mixtape, 18 songs. We recorded it on the app, you know what I'm saying? Like real, it was hard too. Like it wasn't like real recording, like you couldn't mess up. So anyway, we recorded 18 songs, we put them together, we sold like 50 copies, but like that was like the first time, like, cause my brother like pushed me, like he was, like I was like, man, I don't want to do this, bro. Like at this time, I'm trying to be LeBron at this time. I'm hooping, like, you know what I'm saying? And like he pushed me, like, nah, bro, you gonna do this? Like, nah, do it, like. And at that moment, like, I fell in love with writing. Like I always wrote poetry, but I fell in love with like trying to like make music though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like, so like that's where it started. And it's always been in my life. And then like after college, I managed an artist for a small period of time, and been around that like small period of time for probably about 2 years. Like been in the studios and all that. That really brought back like, yo, like I have what it takes for this. Like I could do this every day, all day, work on music, create, and like I just knew I had that will for it, and I also knew I had the skill, because I've been writing my entire life. Like I've been writing poetry like since I was like 9 or 10 years old, like my entire life. Like, and so that it's kind of just put together. Like I'm kind of glad how I came. Like I know I'm starting out. I'm 27, and I'm just like now putting out music, but like it's the perfect time for me, because when I got back into music, I started off as a manager. So I learned the game. I really studied the game. I studied marketing, really studied how to like create a website, how to like, you know, write up emails, how to like get in touch with people and all that. So I learned all of that first before I ever dropped the song. So like I'm proud of my progress. I'm proud of my journey.
No, that's dope. And it's interesting that you say that, because when you kind of spoke about like how your mama had was a minister of music, and how you were listening to that gospel music, and then that kind of segued you into that. The very first thing that popped in my head was, first and foremost, I was like, I can immediately relate to that, because that's all my mama had me listening to every single morning. It was gospel music every single day. I also was in the church choir, was in the gospel choir in college and stuff like that, and was doing all of the singing. And kind of wish I would have kept doing it, because I'm actually not that bad, when I think about it. But then
we all got a gift, honestly. Like we all got a little tune.
I mean, we do, but I mean, I never thought that my singing was that good until until like one of those few times that I was like kind of still drifting out of the church, but still into it. I think where was I at? I want to say I was at Mount Zion in Nashville, matter of fact. And one of the songs that they were singing was one of the songs that we used to always sing in church. The sanctuary choir, the mass choir used to always sing in church or whatever. And we actually also sang the song in the gospel choir at UT as well. And so I knew the part to the song already. And so here I am singing the part that I know, singing the bass part or singing the tenor part to the song. And a woman turned behind me and she was like, you need to be up there, right? And I was like, sure, yeah, let's go with that. Never went up there, because I'm like, I'm drifting out of that. And it just wasn't for me at that time. But what that did make me think of is the Clark sisters, and how Dr. Maddie Mouse Clark, may she rest in peace, how she did essentially the same thing. And that's how the Clark sisters literally have this 40-year long, career, where she got them up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. She hearing the parts and she hearing the song, and she telling them to harmonize it so that way they could give the parts to the choir member. And it's dope to hear how, you think about the best singers out there. You think about Fantasia, you think about Jennifer Hudson, you think about Whitney, and how all of these people grew up in the church choir, and that's what made them great. That's what separated them from this, what separated the great singers for the people who just did it as a hobby. And so with that, just kind of thinking about that, it's dope that you had that upbringing, because I feel like that in itself gives you, along with being able to look at the business aspect of it, that gives you another leg up over everybody else, because you are already in the space of, oh, I know what these harmonies should sound like. I know what this should sound like. I know how I want this to sound like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
That's dope. That's really that's really, really dope. Okay, so now I want to segue, because you said you was always writing poetry. What did poetry ever stop, or did the poetry like transfer into singing, or how did poetry get into this?
When I was younger, I used to just write a lot of poetry. Like I always liked rhyming. It came natural to me to write poetry.
Right.
I used to when I was like in high school, like 14, 15, probably like I say like 13, 14, like I had some little girls, you know what I'm saying? They'd be like, write me a poem, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I write poems from different girls. Like, I'd be lying, you know what I'm saying? Hyping, like,
right.
I got feelings for y'all, But that was like my thing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, girls, they requested, we was talking, whatever, they requested. So, like, it just came natural to do it. And girls like this, so I was like, I'll do it, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just always natural for me. And it's funny though, because the way I asked her out when we first started dating, I wrote her a poem. So like, I wrote her a poem like that. Was like I don't know. I've always wrote them. It was cool. Like, you know what I'm saying. Like I guess it was different for her. She appreciated it. Like I put a lot of heart into that one. But yeah, it was cool though. Like it's also something I always done. I did stop doing it as I got in college. Honestly, I wrote a lot my freshman year of college, and I started writing for a minute. Like, and I just picked it back up. It was actually 2 years ago yesterday when I picked it back up. So
that's dope. You just set the bar on Jupiter at that point. You gave her, you asked this girl out with the poem. The bar is on pattern at this point. God damn, like
You know
I
what I'm
don't
saying?
even know how.
Look, it ain't
Sitting like,
2020.
okay, is the punctuation correct? Let
Look,
me make sure this is
look,
right, cause
look,
sheesh,
look,
man.
2020, 2020 is different. You know, these kids nowadays, they fly you across the world to ask you out now. But, you know, that was back in 2012. Best I could do is, like, at the time, was a little poetry. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But see, it is funny that you say that, because I think I saw somewhere, I don't know, this is a whole side tangent, but I saw somewhere, I think this was on Twitter, where a girl flew to Germany to meet up with a dude that she was with. And I was like, hell no, I'm not even finna drive more than 30 minutes to come link up with nobody like that. We gotta meet halfway or something. Cause it is not that I don't care, but I'm just like,
Hey, I'm just glad I'm
I'm
out.
not putting in that much effort.
I'm glad I'm not part of this dating game in 2020. Like, I watch aside on the sidelines, and I observe to see what my friends and family are going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just from the outside looking in. And for those who don't know, watching, I am married. I've been married over a year now. And
no, we gotta clap that up.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was college sweethearts. Right? But anyway, like, it just seems like it's very difficult dating, honestly, right now with social media and all this going on. Like, I don't know. It feels like the world is so small. I feel like people have unrealistic expectations. I don't know. Like, I just can honestly say, like, I don't know. It's so different because, like, I don't know. It's just so different. Like, from the outside looking in, I just be like, wow. And a lot of my friends, they all tell me it's terrible. Like, and so, like, I don't know. How do you? Let me ask you. Like, how's the dating world for you? Like, is it hard like that with social media versus like back in like 2013, 2014?
Well, see, me, I'm an interesting case, and it's interesting that you asked this question and that we're on this, because I literally was just talking to my therapist about this. I mean, like, 2 hours ago, we was just talking to my therapist about this. For me, I'm a special case in the sense because I don't really go after people like that, or I haven't tried to court anybody in a very long time. Due to past, traumas and stuff like that growing up. I mean, the last relationship that I was in, we was in it for like a couple months, and old girl cheated on me with her ex nigga. And it was just like, well, we're gonna just blow that on out the way, just deal with that. But like, even right now, I'm finding myself in a situationship. I think I'm telling too much of my business at this point. I know the people who don't watch this, I'm expecting text messages. Be like, so you in a situationship? When this happened? But I'm calling it a situationship for a lack of better terminology. And my dating experience, or whatever this is turning into, is being used through social media, because the person that I found was through a dating app.
Okay.
I mean, is Grindr considered a dating app? I don't know. It'd be too much. It'd be too much bullshit going on that thing for me. But I found dude through Grindr. And we almost connected instantly, because there was a lot of stuff, and we even sat down and had this conversation a couple weeks ago. And he asked me, he was like, well, what was the thing that attracted you to me? I said, the fact that when I have a conversation with you, I feel like I'm talking to myself. Like, I believe that relationships like are mere images of who you are. Like, whatever you love in somebody, that's what you love in yourself. Whatever you hate in somebody, that's what you dislike in yourself. And like, literally talking to this dude, I mean, I literally sat back one day and kind of had like an out of body experience, in a sense. Like, I was sitting there listening to him, but I was like, I'm talking to a fucking mirror. Like, what? Like, and so it was like it wasn't like an instant connection, but it was like, yeah, we're gonna have to do something with this right here. We're gonna have to kind of let this grow organically and let it see where it kind of grows from there. And so for me, that's what that's been looking like, because exactly like you said, and this was what I was telling my therapist, I'm like, looking at, a lot of my friends, I don't have too many good examples of a healthy relationship besides you and your wife, as well as you know, a good friend of mine that's in Atlanta, her and her husband, like, I don't have, outside of that, I don't have too many, you know, good examples of healthy, open relationships, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend type thing, whether it's a marriage type thing, whether it's even a, you know, we're raising a child together type deal. Like, I just don't have that, or I don't see that. And so for me, it's like, you know, trying to navigate the waters and trying to, you know, see what all of this looks like and see what all, I don't know, I guess what all of this entails, and kind of just essentially going with the flow. Now, whatever the hell that looks like, I don't know, I guess. Because personally, for me, and again, this was something that I told my therapist earlier, I was like, I honestly think that I want to get at least some of my own bullshit, whatever that may look like. I want to get that together at some point in time before I try to start something new with somebody else. And of course, you can't control that because, you know, when you try to make plans and decisions, you know, the creator, God, Allah, the universe, whatever you believe in, is looking at you like, L-O fucking L. Okay, I'm gonna let you think that. But at the same time, it's also a, you know, at the same time, I also believe that people come into your life for a reason, you know, and they come to show you some aspect about yourself. They come to teach you something, whether it be positive or negative, whatever it is, they're there to teach you something about yourself. They're there to show you a different perspective. And so for me, at least, I'm like, I'm just kind of letting it happen and going with the flow. But I just kind of, me personally, I just like, let me get some of my bullshit together before I start something new with somebody else. Like, I don't know. It's just that I don't want to get into a relationship and then end up having to break it off because of my own bullshit. Even though we both got our own bullshit to deal with, but you know, I don't want to get into it because I'm like, you know, being a hard ass for no reason, or letting past traumas and things trigger me when it's like, it's not you, it's me. And I'm like, and I don't want to, I don't know, I just don't want to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel it. But I will say is I don't give relationship advice. Like, I don't personally. I just feel like I ain't been in it long enough. But I'll say it's just don't just you definitely right. Want to heal your stuff before you get involved. Like that's I think 100% right. I think everybody should do that. But also just don't. I'll say is just if you go into it though, don't be afraid. You know what I'm saying? Just like go in full. You know what I'm saying? Like because ultimately, one thing I'm learning every day is love is being vulnerable. Like you know what I'm saying? Like most of the time, everybody's scared to be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna take a chance of love, you gotta be able to be vulnerable. Or I feel like you're wasting your time. Like, or you gonna try to control things, try to manipulate things, try to swing stuff back in your favor, and then like a lot of times people will try to manipulate and do this, and then something like down the road to happen, and they want to be mad, but realize, well, you tried to manipulate this 3 weeks ago. Now this is the effect of it, and you won't even take accountability and won't realize this is going to be continuing happening because of your insecurities, all because you just won't try and fully be vulnerable. Like, and that's what I'm learning every day is you just gotta be vulnerable, and I gotta put my complete trust into her, and she has to put complete trust into me, and that's just like, and so it's scary, but it's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's, I think my part is with a lot of people is when someone do us wrong, or like you said, your ex cheated on you or her ex, whatever, that don't devalue you, you know what I'm saying, at all. That devalues her. Like, she the one ain't loyal. She the one going against her word. She the one ain't got no code. She the one ain't solid. That ain't your fault. You solid. You did what you do. Like, someone do you dirty, that don't devalue you at all. But like, that's a hard mentality and perspective to have. Cause that's the one I've always had. If people do me dirty, something, I don't care. Like, I'll be hurt for a minute, but like, I don't care. Like, like whatever at this point, because I'm expecting anyway. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like, and this only got to be in a romantic relationship. It can be a platonic relationship with just a good homie. Someone do you dirty, that don't value who you are. And you don't got. I know it's easier said than done. A lot of people like to be like, "Is it me? Why me? Is there something wrong with me?" And I get that. Like, I 100% get that. But I just want the listeners and the viewers to remember is someone do you dirty does not devalue you. That devalues them. Like,
man, what a motherfucking word for your ass. That's a sermon right now. Here you are talking about so you don't get relationship advice. And that's exactly what you just did. Because I know there's a lot of people that needed to hear that, not even if they aren't in a relationship. I feel like a lot of people just needed to hear that in general, because when it's interesting that you brought this up as well, because I've been binge watching Girlfriends lately. And first and foremost, I didn't realize how problematic that shit was back in the day. Probably because I was like 7 when that show came out. And I didn't understand like a lot of the stuff. And granted, I was watching it with my mama, but I ain't been through no life shit like that to understand like what was going on. But like over the last like week or so, I finished the first season. Like I think I finished the first season yesterday. And I was like, I need to take a break, because that like end of season 1 cliffhanger. I was like, now see, I would have whooped your ass before I thought about it. But one of the things that was a theme that kept coming up is that people kept feeling like the ladies, and it was, I ain't gonna say it was all 3 of them, but at least Joan kept feeling like that, and yeah, Joan kept feeling like that to an extent where she kept feeling like she was less than because she didn't do a certain thing, or she didn't perform a certain way, or because she felt like she was, what's the word? She was kind of shirking on her own beliefs and stuff like that. You know, she kept devaluing herself and feeling less than. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people actually live through and they deal with on a daily basis. It's like, oh, I didn't get this job, and that makes me feel less than, or oh, this person doesn't love me like I thought they did, or like I love them, or, and again, like you said, it can be the same thing with platonic relationships as well. As like, I give you, you know, time, and I give you my love, I give you the patience, I give you all of these different things, and I don't get it back in return. And so that means that I'm a, you know, terrible person. Even the same thing in sex, where people think that, oh, just because I ain't nut, you know, I did a bad thing. No, just made me, I'm just trying to, you know, retain my semen. I don't know. I'm doing something. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are a bad person or you're a terrible thing. And so that's a word that a lot of people genuinely need to hear, especially in this time of COVID, because niggas is losing their jobs and all this other stuff, you know, left and right. But that don't mean that you a bad person. Just mean it's time for it to go. Like, shit has to die in order for newness to come about. And you have to be, like you said, be willing to be vulnerable and invite that in. Because if not, what's gonna happen? Like, what, you gonna be in the same, you're gonna be in the same rut that you are in right now. And I'm only speaking from personal experience. You're gonna be in the same rut that you are in right now, 365 days later from now, and then be questioning, why the fuck do I feel this way? Well, if we rewind the clock real quick, back in the day, you see why.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the thing is, a lot of people, you gotta take out ego. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of stuff that we deal with on a daily basis all comes back down to our ego. Like worrying about something what someone gonna say, or worrying about not being able to buy this, not being able to go with this and go. Like a lot of times we are dealing with ego, a lot of human ego of, and it's all most of the time wanting to feel like you are accepted, respected. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people deal with that. You know, and I just think the kids definitely just like, I don't know, like I said, you gotta be vulnerable, but you also gotta be able to surrender. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be able to surrender. Yeah. And that's when my life things start working for me in my life, because my life is going downhill right after college. Honestly, during college, it was going downhill. And when I surrendered to God, I personally believe in God. Whoever you believe in, you gotta surrender. And once I surrendered to God, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna control what I can control. I ain't worried about what nobody else is doing. I ain't trying to keep up with nobody. I ain't trying to follow nobody. I'm gonna have my own plans. And I had a plan. Didn't know how I was gonna get to this plan. And I'm closer and closer to this plan every day now. And once I surrendered, that's when life turned for me. And like, it's so easier said than done. Because a lot of people are like, how are you so positive? A lot of people ask me like, how are you so positive? I get a lot of DMs of that. Like, how are you so positive? You always trying to like just be positive, put out good energy. But I'm just like, yo, I struggle with shit. I struggle with things too. I struggle with shit too, like all the time. Like, but words are so important. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, words are so important.
Yeah.
And before I'm gonna go before personally me. I'm gonna go out and tweet something out and get. Some people need to. Some people, I guess they feel like they gotta tweet it out and get it out. I get that. Personally, for me, if I'm gonna say something negative, and have to get it out, I'm gonna put it in my notes. I'm not gonna tweet something out to the world. To no matter if I got 3 followers, 3 million followers, I'm not gonna tweet something out to the world in a negative light like that because it's too powerful. Way too powerful. Once someone likes it, it's in their subconscious. People retweet it. Like, it's too powerful. Your words is connected to that. And so like that's why I don't usually like emotional tweet like that. Like I usually don't, but I don't even know. It's just I don't know. I just like I don't know. We got a lot of things you gotta surrender about. You gotta surrender. You gotta be able to surrender and let God control and just trust. Like you gotta legit trust and have faith. Like every day, man, some faith walk, man, for real.
Okay, so now I have to ask this question. We're gonna get back to this music in a second, but
I'm
real spot right now. Damn, because what you speaking on, I'm noticing a trend, at least for me right now, right? Because everybody that know me and that's been into my business and that follow me on Twitter, y'all have seen the rise, the fall, the good, the bad, the ugly, all this shit. As far as like what this year as a whole has looked like, you know, from January until now, and the fact that it is fucking the middle of October. What is that right now?
I don't know how we got here.
That is wild. That is literally the middle of October right now. But for me at least, I've been trying to get to that place of surrender, right? And I feel like the last 9 months of the things that I've experienced, from, you know, quitting teaching for the 3rd time at this point, like officially, like, okay, I literally cannot do this anymore because it is draining me of my energy and it's making me hate teaching now. Like, and teaching has always been a love of mine. Teaching has always been a passion. It's the whole reason why I started this podcast. I had the old podcast. I get up and go speak to people, you know, do public speaking. Like, that is the whole reason why I do it. It's the whole reason why I'm in a doctoral program, because I enjoy it, right? And so, with that, I guess my question to you is like, what does that process of surrender look like? Because for me, all of mine have been forced. And I strongly believe that, again, whatever higher power that you believe in, I really think it's a Black parent, because you know how Black parents operate. I'm gonna tell you the first time to get your shit together. The second time I tell you, that's your warning. The 3rd time, go get a switch, because you clearly didn't hear me the first time. And then, and for me, I've had so many go get a switch moments. Like when I left teaching at the beginning of January, that was a go get a switch moment. You know, a couple weeks ago when I had, you know, a whole ego death, and I mean, like, I was just sitting in my house, just like, I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody, I don't want to see nobody, I just want to sit and just be right now. That was another go get a switch moment. And so, but it's always come back to trust that you're gonna be taken care of. Trust that everything is going to work out in your favor. Trust that you're divinely guided and protected. But for me, the hardest portion is surrendering to that and just like, okay, you got it. Like, let me stop, because, you know, I'm so used to having to get up and move and make stuff shake, and I've had to do this since I was 12. Like, I've had to do this since middle school, and I've had to be the person to get up and make stuff shake. But now I'm being forced to just relax and sit back, and I'm just like, I don't know how to do that. So like, what did that process of surrender look like for you?
For me, I think it's just having. I mean, I have multiple crying spells. Like, you know what I'm saying? I have multiple crying spells of just like I'm just out of, like, I'm getting out my own way. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think it's just completely like trying to put that trust out there, and like, and just like, for me, how I did it was, I'm a control what I can control. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can take care of what I can take care of. If someone doesn't select me for a job, or someone don't like this, or someone doesn't like this, or someone does me dirty, like, I can't control that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Only thing I can control is make sure I'm prepared. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause it even talks about success is what? Preparation, opportunity. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when it comes to success, I truly believe that as long as I'm prepared, and as long as I take care of my preparation, opportunities will come, in which that's ultimately success. Like, you know what I'm saying? So for me, just as I increased over the last 4 years, every single year I've had an increase in my life for the last 4 years, I just took care of what I could control. And that was making sure I keep good relationships with people, you know what I'm saying? Trying to go out and network with people, trying to talk to people, like doing my homework on things. Like when I was trying to get better jobs, I was applying to jobs, so many jobs a day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like trying to do this, trying to do that. Like, and as I kept applying, doing this, doing things that come up for me. Like I might be up 2 a.m. looking at something, and boom, I find the person I'm looking for. I find something I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how, to me, that's just how the universe works. When you put the time, it will come. And I think why we struggle so much, especially in this, I'm about to go another capitalistic society, you know, where
fine, let's go. Let's get into
you know
it. Look, we was going to get in. We was going to get into that anyway. So
we're going to get into it anyway. And like when we get into this capitalistic society, like it does benefit someone like me, because I have, for the people who don't know, I play college basketball like for 3 years, right? So I'm naturally a competitive person, and so in a society like this, maybe that's easier for me to surrender. And I'm a natural hustler, so I'm always be doing this, trying to find. So that's the way I did it. But again, the system might benefit me more because I am naturally competitive. The main problem with well, I ain't gonna say the main, but one of the problems wrong with the society we live in is you should have the same fair and equal chance as someone who's not competitive as a person that is competitive. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're competitive, it works for you. This society, it works for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? But when you're not naturally competitive, it doesn't really work for you. And that's a big issue that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about. Like,
no, and that's 100% true. Because like, as somebody who is not naturally competitive, like I'm not saying I hate competition, but I err away from it because I'm just like, I'm not gonna keep putting all this energy into something. Like, if it's for me and if it's meant for me, I'm gonna get it. Like, I'm not gonna go out here and, you know, try to outdo the next person or try to go sell myself or try to go convince somebody to hire me or something like that, because if that position is for me, I'm gonna be there, right? Like, even with when I was applying to my doctoral program, I wasn't thinking about competing. Oh, I gotta make sure my stuff is A1 and it's gotta look like this so I can get in the top spot. No, I'm like, I'm trying to get the fuck out this damn school building. Let me go ahead and type this stuff the way I think about and what I got and present the best self and give you that. And whatever you do with what I give you, that's not my problem. But for me, it's just
that's controlling what you can control, though.
Right. Like you said, control the controllables. That's what I can control, is by me putting my best self out there. But the way that's received is not my problem. And now a lot of people will say, which I've had one of my professors say this a couple weeks ago, he said something completely different, but what he said completely different is what I've always had to do. What he told me is that it's not about what you give, it's about the way that it looks. And I'm like, not necessarily, because if that means I have to sit here and not be my authentic self to get in that position, what's going to happen once I do get in that position? Because then I can't do the things that I need to do. Or when I do decide to do something, you're going to be looking at me like, you know, who shot Johnny? And I'm like,
how old is he?
That's a great question. I want to say late 40s, maybe. He's somewhere around middle age.
That age group is hit or miss, oh, you do what you gotta do to fit in versus no, take me how I am. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now we take me as I am as niggas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause that's how I always felt. Like, you know what I'm saying? You see, you got the likes. I know people be hating on the likes and shit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I've always dealt with microaggressions in the corporate workplace. Or one day my hair might be twisted, might be braided, might be fro, might be everything. You know what I'm saying? I wear a lot of different colored glasses, everything. And I see these guys beside me, other black guys I work with, they kind of like short haircut. Nothing wrong with that. That's your thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? But kind of more of the fit and how they think they should be, how it look. And it's just like, I refuse to live my life like that. You gonna accept me how I am. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what his whole point was that you have, because literally his whole point was that he was like, I'm not trying to tell you to conform, but you have to be able to play the game. And I said, that's the problem. I said, that's the difference between your generation and my generation. We're done playing the game. The game doesn't fit us anymore. The game, well, I mean, for black folk, the game was never in our favor to begin with. But, you know, as far as the young folk in general, like black, white, Asian, whatever, we are all done playing the game because we realize that there's literally no happiness in playing the game. Like, I would rather be happy than to get up and go to a job that I fucking hate every damn day. Like, I'm not okay with that. Exactly. And even with that, you know, part of that is like, kind of going back to what you were saying as far as like, you know, how you said you would, you know, be up at 2:00 in the morning looking for something, you know, searching for a job or whatever. And like, I would literally find something, you know, that I would like. Well, for me personally, just in my experience, I would find something that I enjoy, find something that I like. But then the moment that you send me something back, or you say, oh, well, we need you to do it like this, or we need you to do it like, I'm like, nah, you can keep it because it's not that serious for me, you know? And so to even kind of go back to that piece of surrender, that's what I've literally been forced to do over the last 8, 9, 10, whatever, how long it's been. Because again, folks that's been in my business, I tell my business, I don't care. But, you know, I haven't clocked into nobody's job since January 20th of 2020. Here it is, October 14th, 15th, and still have not clocked into anybody's job. And so me and my cohort members, we was kind of talking about this yesterday, and we were talking about how, you know, you just kind of have to sit there, be still, and just allow things to play out. Trust that stuff is going to work out. And I brought up this point before that I was like, it's interesting that y'all bring it up. And again, alignment is has been very strong these last few days. And it's interesting that you brought this up because I had a vision a couple days ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I don't know, where I had a flashback to my first speaking engagement at the Black Issues Conference at the University of Tennessee. And I did my presentation on education in the Black community. I gave the history of it. I talked about what the problems were. I gave solutions. And mind you, this was the one where Sandra Bland's sister was at. She was the keynote speaker, and her sisters and some of her sorority sisters were in my session. And it was like, this was an amazing session that you had. And I was like, it's crazy how the universe, the God, creators, whomever, will put you in a position to show you what your future is going to look like without you really knowing it. Because that day I was like, I felt the sense of peace and calmness, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And every single time that I went and did it, I'm like, this is perfect for me. Same thing with the podcast, same thing with recording, same thing with, you know, cooking, same thing with, you know, pulling cars for people, all this great stuff, right? You know, and I've got myself into the position where I've had to surrender. I'm being forced to surrender, right? And, you know, I think the biggest thing for me is learning to trust. And I don't know if I think that's my biggest, you know, issue is learning to just sit back and just trust that it's going to all work out and it's going to be good.
Facts. Trust is hard though. Like, like ain't nothing wrong with having an issue with that. Like we all deal with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like trust is something we all deal with. I mean, we all got our traumas and like we all been treated wrong, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, so yeah, like, but I think you're definitely moving in the right direction with that for sure. Like,
so yeah, so now that we done had this conversation about, I told y'all this is stuff that we should have been did. We should have been had this on wax a long time ago. But you brought up a concept of ego, right? And I want to kind of shift back to the music aspect or whatever. So like, what is the one thing that you've seen as far as ego is concerned? What is one thing that you've kind of seen like artists do that you know, that I guess, how do I phrase this question? What have you seen, like, how has ego like kind of hurt artists, and like, how does that separate you? How does your music, you know, separate you from other artists, if that makes sense?
I mean, I can't really say what I know has what's hurt other artists. Like, I guess ego can get in your way where you can't make the art you need to make because you got the big head. I don't know, but for me personally, I would say ego for me is like I feel like in my artistry, like I have a little ego, like, you know what I'm saying. I had ego in my music, like, but I feel like it's needed though. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a balance to it though. You know what I'm saying? It's a confidence, more of a confidence over a cocky, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it might be a little cocky too, though, because I want people to hear my story too. So I'm gonna go because I haven't always been this calm and chill, like, you know what I'm saying? So I want people to know the me I was like years ago and how I got to this place. So I do tap back into those mentalities in my music. So of more cocky than confidence, you know what I'm saying? But I do tap back into those mentalities throughout my music. But ultimately it's gonna lead back to my journey to where I'm at now. But that's kind of like how my ego plays a role.
I like that. So then, like, do you have any like artists that inspire you? Because I know everybody say they got a specific artist that inspired them, or they have a litany of artists. I know back when I, or at least when I try to sing, I have, or when I practice my singing or whatever, I'm always drifting towards like specific gospel artists such as like Ricky Dillard, or I go to Donna Lawrence, because to me they are the ones, or I go to the Clark sisters or something like that. And I will, sing their stuff because I feel like they have a wide range and variety of music. Or I will go sing, somebody in an R&B type thing. I might sing a Beyonce song one day. I might turn around and sing a Bryson Tiller song the next day. I don't know. But like, what artists do you have that inspire you? Like, who inspires you?
For me, I say my most inspiring artist, like definitely like J. Cole. Shit, Beyonce inspires me too, honestly. Like,
oh, so you have.
I ain't no Beehive member, but I do love Beyonce. I got a ton of respect for her artistry, who she is on and off the mic, like, you know what I'm saying. But she definitely inspiring, like what she does. Just she's bigger than music. Definitely, I would say definitely Cole. Just the way J. Cole moves with his even with his celebrity, you know what I'm saying? Like, how he keeps such a low profile and like, and like he seems like I say, I mean, I don't know him, I don't know these guys, but like from the outside looking in, it seems like he's authentic with his friends and his groups, and he moves authentic, you know what I'm saying? And I would say, like, for inspiration, like that's probably artists that inspire me. Like, I mean, there's a lot of artists who I feel like do have their music has inspiration. My music, that's people like Lil Wayne, definitely inspired in my music. Definitely Cole. I definitely say Biggie. Like, I'm a huge Biggie fan. Them three are my favorite three artists, by the way, two favorite rappers. And definitely Wiz, like Future, like all them five. And can't forget Outkast for sure. Like, them seven, like, you know what I'm saying, like with Big and 3 Stack. Them seven are probably like, when I go and move, I don't think of their music and like try to rap like them, doing like that. But if subconsciously, if there's a tune in my head that I'm coming up with, it's probably something from them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can fully admit that. Like, I'm creating, but I guarantee you it's a mix of all of them, because them are the artists I'm probably gonna listen to. Them, like, you know what I'm saying? And not listening, like, I love Kanye, I love Jay-Z, them too, but like them three, Outkast, Future, J. Cole, Lil Wayne, Biggie, Wiz, like them, those are like guys for me.
So then, because you say you go into the booth and you don't think about like recreating a sound. So, and I think I asked you this like a long time ago when we first talked about this. Like, how would you then describe your music then? If somebody was to randomly find you on, I don't know, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever, if they was to find you and they, was like, okay, I'm gonna just give this random play. Let's see what this is like. How would you describe your sound? Because for me, to me, for at least me personally, now whatever, when y'all go listen to it, which don't just go listen to it, go buy it. Because again, I need y'all to look at my face. Look at me when I say this. We support Black business around here. Thank y'all. Thank you very much. As I said, go buy it. Don't just stream it. But at least for me, when I heard, when you sent me the tracks and I listened to it, I was like, this is an entirely different thing, just a complete different thing that I didn't expect, because the way that you portray yourself versus what you hear in the music is like, wow, okay. But it wasn't like a surprising type thing. It was this is a whole different aspect of him that I wasn't even aware of. I'm like, okay, let's rewind on it again and drag it back one more time and drag it back one more time, because I need to feel the whole thing. So like, if somebody was to randomly just click on this and watch this, how would you describe your work as a whole?
So I feel like I'm that new groove, you know what I'm saying? Like, my shit
Wait, no, you got to break that down. What does what does that mean?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a groovy sound, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so far I dropped like 2 songs, you know what I'm saying? Like, these songs a little older. I wrote 2018. Mm-hmm. But like the sound I got now, that like I have a sound now, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's that new groove. It's a groovy, I say it's a little 80s, 70s influence. Not super slow and funky, but like it's a groovy, like one of my homies call it groovy trap. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Now hold on, like, y'all heard that here first, right? What you said was, what it's called?
One of my homies call it groovy trap. Like,
groovy trap. We're gonna have to keep
groovy trap. But I say it's that new groove. But it's just I pretty much can. I don't know. I can pretty much rap on anything, really. Like, but my favorite sound is kind of more like the more the vibey sound. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The more the spacey type sound. Like, that's kind of the vibe I'm on. Real 808s heavy. That's kind of the vibe I'm on. But like, I feel like you listen to my music, like it's different. Like, I don't think it's really anything that you just really heard. Like, I don't think you can listen to my music and be like, he sounds like this. Like, if all the people I've seen my music to, no one's ever compared me to anyone. No one. Like, and I love that. I love that fact. Like, because most of the time, mind you, I used to, I've been around music my entire life. And most of the time you see new artists, people gonna be like, oh yeah, you kind of sound like this and such and such. And no one's really ever compared me to anyone. And I love that. Like, cause when I go in, I don't try to sound like anyone. I just go in, I listen to the beat millions of times, and then I just jump on it and ride the wave of the beat. But like, so I just make sounds, man, really.
Wow, okay. Cause now groovy trap got me thinking like, what did they say Bryson Tiller was, trap soul? Which I'm like, okay. Because groovy trap, like when I think of that, I think of a mix between, because you said 70s and 80s, but I went back one more decade. For some odd reason, Jimi Hendrix was the very first person that popped in my head when you said
Jimmy, my dude.
I literally saw Jimi Hendrix, and I'm thinking like sick ass guitar riffs. I'm thinking like some real like some Prince type stuff. Like you rap it over some Prince type beats. Like that's literally, I'm just seeing all of that in my head right now. Like, damn, like
you might. I mean, cause I love all eras of music. You know what I'm saying? I love 80s. Like, I'll say I'm more 80s influenced. Like, my sound is definitely, I feel more 80s. But you're going to hear some 60s and 70s in there, too. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I mean, you might hear anything, like, honestly.
Okay.
Like, one thing I would say, though, like, my music, I want people to understand, like, my music, I really want to bring that love sound. Like, I ain't going to say bring the love sound back, because I'm sure there's other artists creating music involving love and all that, but I'm really trying to bring love. That I'm really trying to do the love sound, like, you know what I'm saying, kind of popish too. Like, I don't know. I got a lot of heat, man. A lot of heat, though.
So, like, would you consider yourself like a genre bender in a sense, like somebody that doesn't fit in one thing? You kind of just like,
yeah. But in hip hop though, you know what I'm saying. Okay. Not so much rock and roll and hip hop and it, but just all over the scale in hip hop. Like, you know what I'm saying, like the hip hop scale.
Okay, okay, I fuck with it, man.
Yeah.
So, like I told y'all before, y'all need to make sure y'all go and buy, not stream. And matter of fact, I keep saying stream. We might as well go ahead and talk about this.
Yeah.
Buy the artwork. We support creatives because if y'all haven't paid attention to anything that's going on right now, and that's beyond the bullshit that the Cheeto was doing 35 minutes from my house. Um, if you haven't paid attention to anything else, the one thing that I've noticed as far as like how society is beginning to shift is the shift from um, a lot of masculine energy type things to feminine type energy. And what I
Oh,
mean is like
exactly.
going from the rational, it has to be logical, it has to be look like this, that, and the third, more towards a creative and more feeling type thing, right? A lot more people, you see a lot more artists popping up on Twitter, like doing visual art. You see a lot more people doing a lot more singing, doing a lot more creating. You just see creativity just popping out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, when it comes to this idea of streaming, right, we get to this idea of streaming and we think that that's like supporting that person's creativity. And yes, it does to some extent, but there's still a logical based side to that, because it's like if it doesn't, you know, if these numbers don't look like this, then that means it's not good enough, which that's a problem. Because what is the quote that says this beauty is in the eyes of the beholder? Yes, that's true. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you can't quantify certain things, you know, or you can't put anything into, you can't put creativity into a number because that's boxing it in, and that's not, you know, doing that's not doing justice to, you know, you or, you know, the person that you're supporting. So on to this topic of streaming. What is your ideas about streaming? Because I know as you as an upcoming artist, you know, a lot of artists have these thoughts and ideas about streaming. Like Erica Badu brought this up. I want to say this was like early in the summertime or like late spring or something like that. I don't even remember at this point. But you know, when the pandemic like hit, she came out on Twitter and said like, you know, streaming is great, but that ain't what's bringing home the bacon. Like it's not. It ain't paying the bills.
Exactly.
It's the merch, it's the touring, it's the DJ sets, it's all the stuff that's bringing home the bacon. Like that's how y'all ended up with her incense that apparently smelled like her snatch or whatever. So
Oh
like,
yeah.
what does streaming look like? She the one that named it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Hey,
But
it's
like,
marketing.
right. So like, so what is your idea as far as streaming is concerned? Like, because you have definitely said like, if you follow, which I make sure y'all follow him on Twitter. I'm gonna definitely put it on here as well. Because you definitely have said like you at least from what I've seen, you've definitely been strategic about people buying the song versus streaming it. Why is that?
Well, for me is like I understand everyone's mostly gonna stream, like, and that like that's not an issue at all. But
Mhm.
I just I feel like fans and people who are listening to music, buying me, whatever, need to also be more educated on why it is more important to buy than stream. I mean, once you get up to a bigger level, the streaming is solid, but not really. The artists, even the bigger artists, they make their money off, you know, touring and merch, whatever. But like, especially as an independent artist, where like my song is I drop my songs for $1.11 every time I drop, right, on my website, $1.11.
Mhm.
I would need on Spotify, it's like roughly 200, I think 74 streams of that song to make $1.11. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, if you stream my song, of course I'm grateful. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's love. But if you truly want to support me, it would
Mhm.
be more supportive to buy my song, buy my
Right.
merch, than versus a stream. I'm
Right.
not saying the stream is not supporting, but if you truly more supporting is buy my merch, my song. My song's $1.11 like that. Everyone, I'm not gonna say everyone has $1, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you know, like
No, that's real.
$1, like for someone, if you enjoy someone's music, truly, like, yo, I enjoy their music, like you'll pay $1.11. And I mean, and that's just me, and that goes back into my execution, because like I'm learning in marketing how to you separate, like there's different type of fans. Like
Mhm.
you have like regular fans, you have your super fans, you know what I'm saying? You have people who just know you, like know of you, like, so I mean that'll work itself out. But
Mhm.
I do feel like going forward, artists, especially independent artists, because you don't have the record label behind you to
Yeah.
push you, should definitely be educating their fans more on buying my merch, buying show tickets, buying my stuff helps me deliver dope content of dope visuals, behind the scenes visuals, buying beats, record studio time, you know what I'm saying? That helps me out, put out dope stuff that you can enjoy. So we all a team, really. You
Right.
you buy it for me, and I put some more dope stuff out. So
Dang, yeah, and I definitely 100% agree with that. I 1,000% agree with that. Like, because people don't realize there's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot that goes into being a creative. Like, even just to put this out, put this platform out, it takes a lot to put into this.
yeah,
And hopefully with everything up in the air per se, right now, this will be the one thing, like, as far as more people are trying to shift into this creative lane, hopefully we can get a overhaul on what that looks like, as far as trying to support people. Because I hate the term the starving artist, because nobody should have to starve in order to be their authentic selves, or
exactly,
their art, or to share
exactly.
creative work. Because I mean, at that point, it gets discouraging, and it's like, well, why do it? Because now I gotta wait until somebody else says that it's okay, or says that it's good enough, and I get seen or whatever. But at the same time, you know, I just feel like you can't put a price on creativity. Like, I just don't. I feel like you said earlier, it's not a issue with capitalism, but like, I feel like that's one of the biggest issues with capitalism, is that we try to quantify and put a price on everything, and
Yeah.
capitalism teaches you that if your thing that you offer is not good enough, then you won't survive and you won't make it. But that's not realistic. Like, it's not realistic, but it also keeps you in a subservient position. It keeps you in a space where you don't want to go out and create things, and it makes you want to just follow the status quo. But again, like I said, with our generation, we all saying, fuck that. That's
Yeah.
dead. We can't do that no more. Especially if we want to see a change, and we want to see something great, and we want to see something happen
Mm.
that is a worthwhile change.
Yeah.
We can't do it like that.
Yeah. And question I want to ask, like, I want to say is, because I see a lot of people say, is it our generation, or our generation just has the tools now? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it really our generation, or our generation just has the access now? You know what I'm saying? Like, because to get these tools and get this access, it took the other generation to get these things, the phones, the laptops. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like their generation had it too. It was just, they was like, nah, chip that shit down. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we have more access. We have more things to help us get to these creative points, to get here. Back then, they didn't have the same access. You know what I'm saying? But because you see a lot of people in their 40s and 50s and 60s, 70s picking up new things they ain't never did in their life, stuff they wanted to do their entire life. That was there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they was probably like, nah, you can't do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, now it's like, man, I could try this. I'm 50 years old, but it's 2020. It's the perfect time to try this at 50.
Yeah.
And if you trying this at 50, 60, it was there when you was 10, 9. But it's just now coming out. You know what I'm saying? But so that's what I'm saying, is it really our generation? Because I feel like that's one of my main things. And one of my main things is, and one of my passions and one of my callings is, because I feel like I'm a healer, you know what I'm saying? And I want to, like, we got to heal this generation gap between, like, the millennials and the ones above us, and like, we have to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't just say, well, they'll die eventually. We can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not okay. Because,
I mean, you kind of said where I was going to say, but
you know what I'm saying? Because, and I get it, because it's like, it's a lot of people in our generation who cannot see eye to eye with their parents. Like,
that's true.
At all. Like, a lot of people our age are struggling with their parents. Me and my parents, we've been doing, like, we've been doing great. Like, we've been communicating more, but it took some hard conversations to get there. And I'm not telling someone, if you've had a parent who's done you dirty your entire life, go out and try to, nah, I'm not, like, I'll never say that. But, like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Like I get where everybody's at, tired of being the bigger person. I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like there is some things that we still can learn from the generation before.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't gotta take everything. We can fine tune a lot, but we can't just completely ignore everything we was taught. Not everything, because it's a lot of stuff that we gotta unlearn. But with doing a lot with 2020 being open to so much, it's like we don't got no code no more. Ain't no foundation. We ain't standing on nothing no more. Everything just accepted. And I'm not saying like everything shouldn't be accepted. But I'm saying is like we still gotta have a foundation of code of ethics of how we gonna move out here. You know what I'm saying? And that's all. Like, I'm not saying their generation had it, but that's where I learned it from. Like, I feel like their generation was a little more militant, especially speaking for our Black community. They was a little more militant back then, which they had to be. Like, we get it. But I don't know. I just feel like we can learn from everything. Like, I learn from Generation Z all the time. And I try to learn from my mom's generation too. Just because we can learn from everybody. Like, none of us got to feel fully figured out. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I feel like, so to answer your question as far as like, is it the generation or is it, is it access? I think it's a little bit of both, honestly, but I also think it's more so of the generation piece. And the reason why I say that is because it's like, when you look at, well, I can't even make the argument because I was getting ready to say, like, when you look at like the arguments of conversations but about the generations, there's a trend that that's coming up that I've noticed, at least, that it's always the older generation blaming the younger generation for something, or for a screw up or a fuck up or something like that, or it's like, oh, y'all should have done it that way, it should have been like this. And then the younger generation turning back and it's like, no, this is why it's fucked up in the first place, is because y'all were doing it. My biggest argument is the civil rights movement, and how if your parents was born in the 50s or, born in the 60s, like my folks was born in the 60s, and my grandparents, I think my grandmama and granddaddy, they was in when was my grandmama born? She was born in 28 when King was killed. She was 40. He was killed in April. She was 39 when he was killed. So, and my mama was 4. Yeah, and my mama was 3. She was about to be 4.
My mom was 8.
And so they put in all that work, at that point in time. And then our folks' generation come by and it's like they got complacent or they was comfortable with where they were. And so it's like the torch was never, I don't want to say it was never, but in some instances, the torch was not picked up and carried and given to us. And so now we're at this point where we're having to go back, skip over our parents' generation and go look at our grandparents, which for some of us, our grandparents are gone at this point because all of my grandparents is gone. Like, the closest that I can get to kind of figuring out what did Jim Crow era look like, what did all this stuff look like, is going to talk to my dad's older sister, because she's in her 70s. I can go talk to her and be like, okay, so what does that look like, or how did things fare with you growing up in this era? You were an adult in the 80s. You were an adult during Rodney King riots. You were an adult during the crime bill. You were an adult during the war on drugs, or you were at least a teenager during the war on drugs. And the question is always, why wasn't more done then? And it's not even so much, to me, it's not even so much as like the access piece, it's more that it's the generation piece, because I feel like, even, what is it, Gen Z, is that the one that comes after us?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they would say that, we didn't do enough, or we didn't do something right, or do this, that, and the third. And the only reason I can say that is because after teaching my students last year, my seniors are on an entire different level of thinking than I was back when I was a senior. I mean, like, the way that the conversations that we're having now, they're having that now. And I'm like,
yeah. My little cousin's 18, little sister was 14. Yeah, we have full-blown conversations.
Yeah.
Like they grown. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
And so,
they know.
And like my students, they would text me and I would send them stuff. Like, I sent them the video of Dr. Umar Johnson. I sent it to them, and I told them, I said, put this on your to watch list, and I said, let's have a conversation about it. And we would literally sit there and have a conversation about life. We've had a conversation about government, about politics, and I don't know why people keep thinking kids are stupid, but they not. They have, you know, opinions, and they're like, no, we need to fix this. No, this needs to be like this. No, it don't need to look like this. And
But
so,
I don't mean to cut you off, but
go ahead.
ain't that due to access though? You know what I'm saying? Like that's why they can have these conversations. That's due to access.
But my argument against that is that, like, even though we didn't have access to internet like that, we still were able to have these kind of conversations. We were just told that it wasn't our place to have that conversation, or we was put in situations where we couldn't have that conversation because, you know, this being at our lovely alma mater, it was every day fighting tooth and nail racism. Every single day it was fighting racism and having to, you know, call people out on their bullshit. But we didn't have to, or at least for me, I was privileged enough to grow up in a predominantly Black city and go to a predominantly Black school where I didn't have to have those conversations. But then when that culture shock hit, once I got my happy ass over to Knoxville, I was like, oh, I actually have to start talking about this stuff. I wasn't privileged to have those conversations beforehand. And so, as far as access is concerned, like, I've always had access to the news. I may not have had it as fast enough as Twitter, but CNN has been around for what, 30 years at this point, 30, 40 years at this point, you know. All of these major news outlets and stuff like that, even though you really can't trust none of them, they've always been out, and you've always still been able to form an opinion, whether or not it was a well-formed, informed opinion. You know, that's a whole different ball game. But as far as, like, you know, as far as access to the arts, I feel like the only access, you know, the hindrance to that access would be like a socioeconomic type deal. Like, if you was poor, then okay, that makes a lot of sense. But even poor folks would still have a frame of reference to even have that conversation, because it's like, I don't know what it's like to be rich, but I do know what it's like to not have no lights in my house. I do know what it's like to not have no food on my table. I do know what it's like to worry about how I'm gonna get to school. And so, but we've always been taught that to just accept it for what it is. And I feel like, not to blame my parents' generation, even though I did kind of tell my folks, I said, no, I do actually blame y'all for that. But, you know, there was a sense of complacency, because it's like, oh, well, my mom and dad already did the work, so everything is fine and dandy. But it's like, no, you have to still keep that going, because the moment that you stop, you give anybody an inch, they're going to take a mile. They're going to take 10 miles, and they're going to, as we've already seen now, and they're going to sprint with it. Yeah. And so I feel like, as far as, like, access, I definitely see the argument for that, but I don't know. I think the argument for access is, I feel like they have a lot more access, but they also have a lot more intuitive knowledge to complement that access. And so for the next generation, I feel like, you know, once we lay the groundwork for a lot of stuff, they're gonna take this stuff and sprint with it, and we're gonna be like, well, damn.
Well, I definitely agree with you there. Like, the younger generation, they're gonna take it to another level for sure, and that's why I feel like it's important for our generation to like you're saying, you're doing, like you said, your closest person you can speak to for the generation is aunt, 7 years old. But as long as she's cool, you can speak with her and she talk. That's the type of conversation we gotta have, though. Like, yeah. It don't matter. It don't gotta be a parent. It gotta be a grandparent. It don't gotta be a family member. It could be just anyone you meet. But our generation has to talk more to the people that are 80 years old, 70 years old, 60 years old, 50 years old. We all gotta talk, and then also talk to the kids that are 10 years old and 15 years old and 20 years old. Like, you know what I'm saying? We coming up in our 30s. Like, so as long as we keep talking to one another, like, that's what we gotta do. We can't just, oh, these are the people I hang with, so that's all people I know. This is my only perspective is the 30-year-olds and the 20-year-olds I hang with. And it's just like, we all gotta communicate, because we all can learn from one another. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, one thing a lot of people give, I think it's my mom's born in '60, so a lot of people give them that generation or this group after 64. They give them a lot hard time, because, like you said, they kind of just complacent. But at the same time, though, it's like they had to adapt, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Ownership was more important. Yeah. Before them, when they was kids and they were precious, they had to adapt to a new world. You know what I'm saying? They had to adapt. they ain't really have, so it was such thing as ownership. We lost all our ownership once we combined it with, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We lost all our ownership then. And so they had to adapt. I feel like our generation, we're at a point where we're like in between like adapt and abolish. You know what I'm saying? Like, will we get to abolish? I don't know. Maybe we'll get there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe the younger generation. I don't know. But I do feel like we're like, and I feel like that's the biggest head on with my mom's generation, my generation, because they had to adapt. They didn't have the ability to even try to abolish. They didn't have that ability. That was cut off. Is it like, and that's why I think our generation got to come a little slack, because we have small, like, even though it ain't a huge ability, but we do have an ability to make our own change, to do what we want. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at the highest group of entrepreneurs right now, Black women, right?
Yeah.
That was not an ability like back then. Like, you know what I'm saying? You weren't able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I keep saying access. Like, everyone plays their part. And that's why, like, I hate when people say the older generation, the new generation crazy, they film everything. The older generation didn't do that. And it's like, nah, if the older generation was in 2020, they would be filming everything too. Like, that's all filming and seeing that all goes back to ego or whatever. Anyway, but my point is, you know what I'm saying? My point is, we got to come some slack because they had to adapt. That's what it was. If you didn't adapt, you was going to jail. You didn't adapt, you was losing your job. You didn't adapt, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so, like, last time my mom, she'll be like, at first, before I started doing okay in the corporate world, I'm tatted. I had tattoos everywhere. My hair be all. I got nose. I had, you know what I'm saying? I had nose rings. You know what I'm saying? I had nose rings. And it made my mom nervous. Like, to be like, how's my son gonna be able to take care of himself and get a solid job and do this and that when he's looking like something? He's dressed and look like something that her entire life they said that's what a thug looks like. That's how, you know what I'm saying? And even though we should have known that they was trying to brainwash them, but they didn't know that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that supply was limited for them, you know what I'm saying? And that's where, like, me and my mom, we've had these tough conversations too, and she's understanding of how bad her generation was brainwashed, you know what I'm saying? But we had to have these conversations though, like, you know, but then at the same time, I learned of how they're attacking our generation too, because there's always gonna be an attack every generation, like, you know what I'm saying? And her being wiser and older, she sees something that I don't see. And you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know, we just gotta learn. I'm not saying she's wise because she's older. I think wise just comes from perspective. You know what I'm saying? And experience. Like, and it could be older, but not always. But I'm just saying is we're at a point where we can adapt or abolish. You still got a lot of people out here trying to just fit in. Yeah. Like, you got some people who are like totally just against the system, trying to abolish. They don't care if they got not have a job, work a day, if they not gonna stand for it. Then you got some people who's kind of like in the middle, kind of like, shit, I got kids, but I got this. I can't just be too far over here. And that's, you know, that's where capitalism comes in. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It all goes back to system, you know what I'm saying? Like, it all goes back to it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. That's a conversation that I think, you know, when people talk about how to get the Black community on page as a whole and like get, you know, us together, that is a conversation that needs to be had, because we can't talk about changing anything until we figure out what that looks like within our community as a whole. But then we also have to figure out what does that look like here, right? Because the change, you know, even though his ass is racist as fuck, I will give Gandhi this, or I think this who said this, I will give him his credit when he says, you know, you have to be the change that you want to see. Like, if you want a change to happen, it has to start here. It has to start within. It has to start with your thought patterns. It has to start with your beliefs. It has to start with the way that you view the world. It has to start with the way that you approach the world. If you approach the world in a negative manner, you can't be surprised when the world gives you negativity back. That's just not like
that's law of the universe.
That's law of attraction. Like, that's just like, you know, even though I know a lot of people don't believe in the law of attraction, you know, that's literally what that is. It's like whatever you put out, that's what you're gonna get back. And you have to be prepared to accept that. And, you know, at least for me, that's what I've definitely been trying to work on, as far as like, you know, when I used to be a super hotel and part of this liberation movement and trying to get people like, wake the fuck up and we gotta do this, that, and that. I can't get you to change if you're not willing to change for yourself. And nobody can make you change unless you're willing to change for yourself. That's the only way that works. And so I'm definitely glad that you brought that up, because that is something that needs to be talked about more. That's something that does need to be discussed a lot more, regardless of if you are, a baby boomer, or you are Gen Z, or you are millennial, or you Gen X, or wherever you fall in the spectrum. Like, we all are having the same issue, and we're all trying to figure out what this looks like and where to go from there. So yeah, I 100% agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Well, is there anything else? Last items for the good or the order? Anything? What's your final thoughts? Final messages for the people as we get up out of here for today?
I'm trying to think, man. I don't know, man. I just tell everybody, man, stay safe. Make sure you're wearing a mask. You know what I'm saying? Just take care of yourself. Whether I'm the biggest conspiracy theorist is whether you think it's a hoax and all that. Like, I don't know. Like, I've known people that has passed away from COVID. You know what I'm saying? And so just wear a mask, man. Take care of what you can. Like I said, control what you control. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Like,
take care of your
take care of the environment. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, invest into your health. Invest into your immune system. It's gonna get cold. Make sure you're taking care of your bodies, drinking tea, eating your herbs in your system. Like, take care of yourself. Like, this pandemic out here is about to get cold, so the rates are probably gonna go up higher. No time to be afraid, no time to be scared. Yep. Take care of yourself. Like, it's important.
Yeah. All righty then. Well, y'all, this has been another episode of Introspective Thoughts. Thank you, Black Hippie, for coming through, for being the second official guest on this here lovely platform, this podcast. Y'all, I told y'all we're going to have a good conversation here. If you want to learn more about Black Hippie, tell the folks where they can follow you, where they can find you. Of course, I'm going to put it down because y'all know I can't spell, and I know y'all can't spell like that neither, but it's okay. So, I'm going to put it down there in the description box down here below. But tell the people where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Y'all follow me on any social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just Black Hippie, BLAXHIPPIE. That's everywhere. My website below, but website is hippieverse.com. Like, so just give me a follow. But yeah, we'll do this again, bro. We chop it up all the time.
We definitely got to have a part 2.
Well, one day we're going to look back on this interview and we're going to be like, wow, look how much we've grown. You know what I'm saying? So this is good that we had this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, you'll definitely be back for a part 2. We'll have to got to put you back in the chamber, put that bullet back in the chamber. That was a good that was a good fire, but we got to go get that bullet, put that back, pop that over again. That was good. Well, y'all, if there's nothing else, as I always tell y'all, and as he just told you, take care of yourself, take care of your fucking immune system. And don't just have to just wear a mask. I need you to go get some elderberry. I need you to go get some green tea. I need you to go get some turmeric. I need you to go get some garlic. I need you to go get some onions. Black folk, y'all already know.
Get you some sea moss, put in your smoothie, get everything.
I need you to go do all of that.
I need y'all to take care of your bodies for real.
I need you
do not take that little junk. They Trump acting like he done took. No, good and well, he ain't catch no cold.
He even like candy.
And man, do not take that junk they trying to give us. They gonna experiment on us first. I'm telling you, they gonna try to give it to us first. Don't need that, bro. Put them herbs in your body, man. I'm telling you.
Because there's a reason why they didn't tell y'all to go get this elderberry.
Real.
Why they didn't tell y'all to drink this apple cider vinegar, and they just told you to put a mask on. I need y'all to be able to read between the lines. So, by all means, take care of yourself. Take care of your mental. Please do that. Take care of your physical. Take care of everything. I mean, take care of your loved ones. Go call somebody. If you ain't talking to nobody this week, go call somebody. Go share some love with some people. Take care of each other. And until then, until next time, until the next guest comes through, y'all be great. I holla.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro.